Jasper Donovan wiped sweat from his brow as he made final adjustments to the neural interface device. The cramped workshop aboard Outpost Thatnine was sweltering despite the environmental controls, but he barely noticed. After 18 months of work, the prototype was finally ready. "Hand me the calibrator," he said, reaching back without looking. His assistant, a stocky man named Wendell, placed the tool in his waiting palm. "You really think this'll work on Vexillian physiology? Their neural pathways are completely different from ours." Jasper nodded, squinting through magnification lenses as he sealed the final connection. "That's precisely why it might work where their own technology failed. They're approaching the problem from their evolutionary perspective, coming at it sideways." The device looked deceptively simpler, slim metallic. Headband with delicate filaments that would align with specific points on the wearer's temple. What made it revolutionary was its adaptive programming, designed to interface with alien neurological systems regardless of their structure. A soft chime from the door announced a visitor. Wendell crossed the workshop to answer it, then turned. With a startled expression, Jasper, we have company." Standing in the doorway was a tall Vexillian guard in formal regalia, his scaled skin shimmering with iridescent blue patterns that indicated high rank. Behind him stood a smaller figure, a young female Vexillian draped in simple gray robes, her hand resting on the guard's arm for guidance. Jasper rose quickly, nearly knocking over his workbench. The Vexillian royal family rarely ventured into the human quarter of the station. First Sentinel Thorax, Princess Neva. "This is unexpected," the guard Thorax inclined his head stiffly. "Engineered Donovan. The princess insisted on coming herself when she learned of your project." "Princess?" Neva stepped forward, her unseeing golden eyes staring just past Jasper's shoulder. "An accident during a diplomatic mission had damaged her optical pathways 2 years ago, rendering the 14-year-old princess blind. Vexillian physicians had declared the condition irreversible." "Mr. Donovan," she said, her translator rendering her speech in slightly accented English. "I understand you believe you can help me see again." Jasper approached carefully, aware of Thorax's watchful gaze. "Princess, I've developed a neural interface that might bypass the damaged pathways. It won't restore your natural vision, but it could provide a new way of perceiving the world." "How does it function?" she asked, her head tilted with curiosity. "It translates environmental data infrared, electromagnetic fields, sonic reflections into neural patterns your brain can interpret as spatial awareness. With practice, you could navigate independently again." Neva's facial ridges fluttered with excitement, a Vexillian expression of hope. "Will you show me?" Jasper hesitated. "I haven't tested it on Vexillian physiology yet. There are risks." "I am aware of the risks," she replied firmly. "I have studied your research thoroughly." Thorax stepped forward protectively. "Princess, your father would insist on proper protocols." "My father isn't here," Neva interrupted, "and I've waited long enough." Jasper exchanged glances with Wendell, who shrugged helplessly. Testing an untried device on alien royalty was beyond reckless. But the determination in the young princess's voice was unmistakable. "All right," Jasper agreed. "But we'll proceed with caution." He guided Neva to a chair and carefully fitted the device to her temple ridges, making small adjustments to accommodate her alien physiology. "I'm activating it at the lowest setting. Tell me what you experience." Jasper initiated the startup sequence. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then Neva gasped, her hands gripping the chair arms. I can sense shapes," she whispered. "Different intensities, like shadows and light." Jasper carefully increased the power. "How about now?" Neva rose from the chair, turning slowly. "You're there," she said, pointing directly at Jasper. "And another human behind you?" The room has corners, a door. ... Her voice broke with emotion. "I can navigate again." She took tentative steps forward, avoiding obstacles with increasing confidence. Thorax watched in amazement as the princess moved around the workshop without assistance. "This is remarkable," he admitted grudgingly. Neva removed the device after 20 minutes, her face flushed with excitement.
How soon can I have one permanently?
This is just a prototype, Jasper cautioned. It needs refinement, proper testing. I will provide whatever resources you require, she insisted. Name. Your price. Jasper shook his head. I didn't create this for profit, Princess. I just wanted to help. Then you have succeeded beyond measure, she said, touching his hand in a gesture of profound gratitude. But be warned, Engineer Donovan, once word of this reaches the Imperial Court, your life will change forever. As they departed, Wendell whistled low. That went well. So why do I feel like we just started something dangerous? Jasper watched the door close behind the princess. Because the Vexillian Empire doesn't like surprises, especially ones they didn't invent themselves. Little did Jasper know that within days, his simple act of compassion would thrust him into the center of imperial politics, where human innovation would be viewed not as humanitarian aid but as a potential threat to the established order. 3 days after Princess Neva's visit, Jasper was deep in modifications to the neural interface when the workshop door slid open. 4 Vexillian royal guards entered, their ceremonial armor gleaming under the workshop lights.
Jasper Donovan,
The lead guard announced, mandibles clicking with formal precision. Your presence is required at the Imperial Pavilion. Wendell dropped a circuit board with a clatter. What's this about? The guard ignored him, eyes fixed on Jasper. Will. Come immediately. Jasper carefully set down his tools. May I ask why? That is not for us to disclose. The guard's hand rested meaningfully on his plasma baton. You will be escorted. The journey through the station's sectors was tense. Humans and aliens alike stepped aside as the procession passed, whispering behind their hands. Pavilion occupied the station's upper ring, a section most humans never entered. Inside, Pavilion blazed with bioluminescent plants and flowing water features that defied gravity. Emperor Ralex VII sat on a raised dais, his massive frame draped in royal crimson.
Oh.
Princess Neva stood beside him, now wearing Jasper's refined interface device, elegantly integrated into a silver circlet that complemented her royal attire. Approach. Human, the Emperor commanded, his translator rendering the words in flat, motionless English. Jasper stepped forward and bowed, aware of the court's attention. Your Imperial Majesty. You created the device my daughter wears, the Emperor stated. Not a question, but an accusation. Yes, Your Majesty. The Emperor leaned forward. With salvaged parts and theoretical science, you accomplished what our greatest minds could not. His compound eyes glittered. How? Different perspective, Your Majesty. Humans approach problems differently than Vexillians. A murmur rippled through the court. The Emperor rose, towering over Jasper. You understand the implications of what you've created? Before Jasper could answer, Neva stepped forward. Father Engineer Donovan gave me back my independence. This is cause for celebration, not interrogation. A silence, the Emperor hissed. You are blind to more than just the physical world, daughter. He turned to an advisor, an older Vexillian, whose scales had faded to pale green with age. Drovax, explain to our guest what his innovation means. Drovax stepped forward, his movements deliberate. Your device doesn't merely grant vision to the blind human, it provides perception beyond natural capabilities. Heat signatures, electromagnetic, fields. With modifications, it could see through barriers, detect weaknesses in armor, identify concealed weapons. Jasper felt his stomach sink. It's medical technology, not a military application. All technology has multiple applications, Drovax countered, particularly those that offer new ways of perceiving reality. The device stays within the Imperial family, the Emperor declared. And you, Engineer Donovan, will remain here to develop it further. Remain? Jasper echoed. For how long? Until we determine the full potential of your creation. The Emperor's tone left no room for negotiation. You will be given quarters befitting your new status as Imperial innovator. Princess Neva stepped closer to her father, voice low but urgent. This is not how we honor those who help us. This is how we protect ourselves. The Emperor replied coldly, As guards escorted Jasper to his new quarters, luxurious but unmistakably a gilded cage, he caught Neva's apologetic glance. Her expression carried a silent promise. This wasn't over. In his new workshop, equipped with technology beyond his dreams, Jasper found a small note hidden in a supply container, written in careful English. "Trust no one but me. They fear what? They don't understand. We must proceed carefully." N. Jasper concealed the note and surveyed his surroundings. He was no longer just an engineer. He was now a political pawn in a game whose rules he didn't understand. 2 weeks into his privileged captivity, Jasper was summoned to the Imperial Council chamber. He'd spent the time creating deliberately flawed prototypes, while secretly refining his original design based on Neva's feedback. The chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from 7 alien species argued in their native tongues, translators struggling to keep pace. Emperor Ralox observed from his throne, with Princess Neva seated at his right hand. Wearing the interface device, Drovax beckoned Jasper forward. "Demonstrate the device's capabilities." "To medical prosthetic," Jasper insisted. "It helps Princess Neva navigate her environment." An imposing delegate from the Krantic Confederacy, species of silicon-based beings, stepped forward. "Yet our intelligence suggests it can penetrate Vexillian security barriers. What else might it see through?" "Krantic paranoia," scoffed an Assyrian representative, her feathered crest rising with disdain. "The real question is why the Empire hoards human innovation rather than sharing it through proper Galactic Union channels." Emperor Ralax rose. "This technology was developed within our jurisdiction, using our resources." "Using salvaged parts?" corrected the Assyrian. On a neutral station, Jasper caught Neva's subtle gesture a warning to remain silent. He'd learned enough about Imperial politics to recognize a proxy war when he saw one. His invention was merely the excuse. "The human remains under Imperial protection," Drovax announced, emphasizing the word protection with menace, as does his technology. The Krantic delegates' crystalline appendages clicked ominously. "The Confederacy requests under Section 7 of the Galactic Accord." "Denied," snapped the Emperor. "Then perhaps," the Krantic continued, "we should discuss the human colonies on the Outer Rim. So vulnerable, so exposed." The threat hung in the air. Asper stepped forward before thinking. "If anyone threatens human settlements over this, I'll destroy every prototype and the research with it." Silence fell across the chamber. Emperor Relax's compound eyes narrowed. "You forget your place, human." "My place is protecting my people," Jasper replied, heart pounding. This technology was meant to help, not become a weapon or political tool. Princess Neva rose suddenly. "The human speaks truth. We dishonor ourselves by turning healing into harm." "Daughter," the Emperor began warningly. "I stand with Engineer Donovan," she declared. "If he leaves, I leave with him." The council erupted in chaos. Guards moved toward Jasper, but Neva stepped between them. "Touch him, and you answer to me." Emperor Ralox slammed his scepter, restoring order. "This council is adjourned. Jasper Donovan, return to your quarters immediately." As Jasper was escorted out, he glimpsed Neva in urgent conversation with a young Vexillian officer whose uniform markings identified him as Fleet Commander Zard Dexnone, among humans as a moderate voice in the otherwise conservative military. Back in his quarters, Jasper found another hidden note. "Tomorrow night, be ready. N. Become a flashpoint in interstellar politics." Whatever happened next would affect more than just his fate, could reshape relations between humans and the most powerful empire in the quadrant. At precisely midnight station time, Jasper's door silently slid open. Commander Zardek stood in the corridor, his scaled face tense. "Follow me quickly." "Where's Neva?" Jasper whispered, gathering the small pack he'd prepared. "Meeting us at the auxiliary docks. The Emperor has ordered your transfer to a research facility on Vexos Prime at dawn." They moved swiftly through service corridors, avoiding the main thoroughfares. Zardex's security clearance bypassed standard protocols, but each checkpoint still posed a risk. Why are you helping us? Jasper asked, as they paused in a maintenance junction. Zardex's mandibles twitched a Vexillian expression of conviction. Because some of us believe the future lies in cooperation, not domination. Princess Neva has been advocating for human-Vexillian collaboration for years. A security alert suddenly blared throughout the station. Attention all personnel. Detain. Human engineer Jasper Donovan and Princess Neva. By Imperial decree, they've discovered the princess is missing, Zardex hissed. We must hurry. They reached a service elevator that descended toward the lower docks. As the doors opened, they found themselves facing two royal guards. Commander, one guard began suspiciously. Why are you Zardex? Moved with startling speed, striking pressure. Points that dropped both guards without a sound. Non-lethal, he explained, seeing Jasper's shock. They'll recover. At the auxiliary docks, Princess Neva waited beside a sleek courier vessel, her interface device allowing her perfect navigation. In the dimly lit bay, Jasper, I was beginning to worry. The station's locked down, Zardex reported. We have perhaps 10 minutes before they override my security protocols. Where are we going? Jasper asked as they boarded. Sanctuary Station, Neva replied. The neutral zone between Empire space and the human coalition. My mother's family has influence there. Zardex prepared for launch. Jasper noticed Neva carried a data crystal. What's that? Your complete research, including applications we've developed together, medical applications only. She placed it in his hand. This belongs to humanity, not the Empire.
Oh.
Alarms shrieked as the docking clamps released. Through the viewports, Jasper saw royal guards streaming into the bay. Hold on, Zardex warned, engaging thrusters. The courier shot from the station, banking sharply to avoid the defensive grid. Behind them, two Imperial patrol vessels detached from their berths in pursuit. They're powering weapons, Zardex reported tensely. They won't fire on a royal vessel, Neva insisted. They might if they believe you've been kidnapped, Jasper countered. Neva moved to the communications array. This is Princess Neva of House Ralax. I am leaving of my own free will with Engineer Donovan. Any vessel that fires upon us commits treason against the royal bloodline. The pursuing vessels maintained course, but held their fire as Zardex pushed. The courier to maximum speed. When they reached the jump point, executed a precision fold-space maneuver that left their pursuers behind. As stars streaked past the viewports, Jasper felt the weight of realization. There was no going back. He'd become a fugitive from the most powerful empire in known space-all, because he'd tried to help a young princess see again. What happens now? He asked quietly. Neva's expression was determined. Now we show both. Our peoples that cooperation serves us better than conflict. Sanctuary Station hung like a jeweled web in the darkness of space, its neutral territory maintained by an alliance of 17 species. For 6 months, it had been home to Jasper, Neva, and a growing community of scientific collaborators from both human and Vexillian worlds. In their laboratory, Jasper watched as Dr. Pelori, a renowned Vexillian neurologist, fitted a human child with a refined version of the neural interface. The girl had been born without optic nerves, a condition previously considered untreatable. What do you see, Olivia? Jasper asked gently. The 8-year-old girl gasped with wonder.
Everything.
You're tall with brown hair, and there's a lady with pretty scales, and I can see all the colors. Her parents embraced, tears streaming down their faces. Another successful implementations, the 17th in their clinical trials. Neva, who had become the project's diplomatic face, stepped forward. Remember, Olivia, your brain will learn to interpret the signals better each day. Soon this will feel as natural as breathing. As the family departed with their medical team, Jasper received an urgent communication. The delegates have arrived. In Sanctuary's Grand Concourse, representatives from the Human Coalition faced their counterparts from the Vexillian Empire across a circular table. Between them stood Jasper and Neva, no longer fugitives, but recognized scientific pioneers. Emperor Ralax himself had made the journey, though his expression remained unreadable. Minister Drovak sat at his right, while Commander Zardex, now promoted to Royal Security Chief, stood watchfully behind. Ambassador Constance Wu, of the Human Coalition opened proceedings. Today marks a historic opportunity. What began as a simple act of compassion has opened the door to unprecedented cooperation. Drovax leaned forward. The Empire still maintains that the original technology was developed under Imperial jurisdiction, yet Neva countered. It was human ingenuity that created it. Neither side can claim exclusive rights. Jasper activated a holographic display showing medical data from both human and Vexillian patients. What matters is what we've accomplished together. Technology that works across species barriers. Treatments that help both our peoples. Emperor Ralix studied the display silently before speaking. My daughter's departure was viewed as a betrayal, but her subsequent actions have proven her wisdom. He turned to Jasper. You could have weaponized this technology. Many urged me to believe you would. That was never my intention, Jasper replied simply. The Emperor nodded slowly. So I now understand. He gestured to an aide, who presented a formal document. The Empire proposes a joint research initiative. Equal participation, equal benefits. The beginning of a new chapter between our species. Ambassador Wu examined the proposal, her expression brightening. This goes beyond what we hoped for. Full technological exchange in medical fields. The proper safeguards, Drovax added quickly. As the delegates began discussing details, Neva drew Jasper aside. My father never admits mistakes. This is his way of making amends? Jasper watched the historic negotiations unfold. 6 months ago, I was just trying to help one person see again. I never imagined this. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the greatest changes, Neva said. The interface device she wore, now elegant and barely noticeable, caught the light as she turned toward the viewport where Earth and Vexos Prime were visible as distant points of light. Two worlds bridged by compassion. Later, as the formal agreement was signed, Jasper found himself face to face with Emperor Ralax. Engineer Donovan, the Emperor said quietly. You have changed the course of history. Not alone, Jasper replied, glancing at Neva, who stood proudly in her formal attire, a symbol of the new cooperation. No, the Emperor agreed, following his gaze. Not alone. And that, perhaps, is the most important lesson of all. What had begun with a simple desire to help had transformed into a bridge between worlds, proof that compassion could overcome suspicion, and that different perspectives, when shared rather than feared, could create a future brighter than either humanity or the Vexillian Empire could have achieved alone.